Well, we're here again in Oklahoma, and I have completely driven this man out of the ability to eat lunch peacefully. And one of the common threads that has been carrying through this documentary is the Trail of Tears. Excuse me. Most of the world, including myself previously, thought that the Cherokee, they had this terrible time of the Trail of Tears, but the Removal Act didn't just include the Cherokees. So we have the man that brings nations together to give his view on the Seneca Cayuga Trail of Tears. Let's take you back to before the Removal Act.
Our people were originally in New York and Canada, and up into Ontario and around the Finger Lakes and Great Lakes area. Our family groups that came here to Oklahoma, they left during the Revolutionary War. They seen that as a fight between a father and a son in the colonials and Europe. So we didn't really, breaking our ties wouldn't really be the word or words, but we separated, and because we, like I said, we seen the fight as a fight between a father and a son, and we tried to stay out of it. Our family groups tried to stay out of it, and we moved down to the Ohio River Valley. We were there for quite some time before Andrew Jackson signed the Indian Removal Act in 1830. My mom refers to it as the Andrew Jackson Travel Agency, and we were forcibly removed. We came southwest down to St. Louis in Missouri, and then for some reason, I don't recall right off the top of my head, but some broke off and went to Kansas City, and then came south down to Ottawa County, and where my family group actually came from St. Louis area down to Ottawa County into Oklahoma. We arrived here in 1831. They actually set us up just east of Oklahoma, just inside the Missouri border. They set us up, had a settlement there. There was like a grist mill, blacksmith shop. We had our own little area, and then they realized that we were still in Missouri, so they made us pick up and move again.
Do you remember the town name in Missouri?
There's actually a town there now called Tiff City. It was around that area, which it's not 5 miles away. Well, maybe 5 miles away. We were moved into this area, into Ottawa County, southern Ottawa County and northern Delaware County, right on the county line. We had 2 different ceremonial grounds at the time, and in the 1940s they built a dam in Langley, Oklahoma. They call it the Disney Dam. It's a mile long, and they knew that the GRDA, the Grand River Dam Authority, and the Corps of Engineers knew that the footprint of the dam was too small to begin with, and at the time we had allotments and burial grounds and ceremonial grounds that were close to what was the Grand River. And when they built the dam, they came and told our people to move because the water's coming. And my grandmother had stories that she talked about when they had to move the cemetery. Some of them were skeletons, and some of them weren't skeletons yet, and they'd had to dig those people up and move them to our current ceremonial grounds and cemetery now. And the flood came, and the lake is called Grand Lake O' the Cherokee. And I didn't know until probably 2 years ago that the O meant over.
Oh.
I thought it meant of, because on the south side of the lake, that's the Cherokee territory, and the north side of the lake is the Seneca Cayuga territory. So we got left out of it.
They're telling you it's
somehow.
over them.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Grand Lake O the Cherokee stands for over the Cherokees, which it could include us too, because we, there's towns underneath the lake. One called Turkey Ford was where a man named Turkey forded the river back when it was small enough to forded it in his wagon, and made a town on this side of the lake. And then when they flooded it, there's a post office, houses, supposed to be cars, everything under the lake, because nobody had time to move. The water came up so fast.
Hey.
It also, we had different foods and like fish and stuff that we ate. There was eel, and my grandma always also had stories about just walking up to the creek sides of the creek bank, and reaching down into the creek and pulling eel out and throwing them on the bank, where somebody was there to mash them with a rock, And when they built the dam, it stopped the migratory patterns of the eel. So there's not really any people that remember firsthand feasting on eel, during their migration. But it's changed. The installation of the dam has changed a lot. They're currently talking about raising the lake level again, and that would endanger things that we have today. So it would be history repeating itself once again.
Because they did the
from
same
1831 to 2016. Yeah,
They did the same thing to us for the St. Lawrence Seaway and moved the reservation, supposedly for our own good, whatever that means. So today you're settled around Grove, Oklahoma, or Ottawa County, or
we're in extreme southern part of Ottawa County, extreme northern part of Delaware County. Our tribal headquarters is in Ottawa County. Then we have a tobacco factory that actually sits on the county line, and we make our own brand of cigarettes. And then we have a casino, and then our ceremonial grounds set just on the other side of Delaware County line.
Now, I hear that a lot of the tribes are like basket weavers. Some are pottery makers. Some are clothing makers. What would you consider before the casino days, where you had to make a living doing something?
We had our own. Well, back when we first were introduced into the area, we had a blacksmith shop. They said there was a grist mill. The tribal members were employed there. As far as like identifying occupation, I don't really.
Well, no, before casino times, the gambling and whatever was allowed. Each nation, especially even in the Iroquois Confederacy, that's still up in New York State and Pennsylvania and Ohio, you have the clothing makers, Mohawks, who were keeper of the flint. We would make the flint arrowheads, knives, spearheads, weapons, tools out of flint. You know what I mean? Each one was basket weavers, one clothing makers. I didn't know whether you had a specific skill that you enjoyed before the casino days. Because I know casinos changed everything in the fact that a lot of people, fortunately, got enough money to survive on rather than scraping along on what wasn't given to them that was promised.
Yeah.
That slipped out again. I'm sorry.
The advantage our cousins up north have is they were actually on a reservation or a reserve. When we were moved into this area, shortly after we started to get a foothold, they started what was called allotments, and each person was assigned a certain amount of land and given like a donkey and so many pounds of sugar and flour and coffee and after the allotment started, then they came in and did what was called checkerboarding. So you had native people, and then they would put a non-native person on land in between and on either side, like your red and black squares on a checkerboard. and it was in attempts of assimilation and colonization. So we really didn't have, like up north, they have ceremonies that we don't have because they are on a reserve. They do get to live next to each other in close communities, where I actually live 45 minutes north of our ceremonial grounds and our tribal complex. There are there's a good concentration of our people in the area around our ceremonial grounds, but we are spread out throughout the county.
Right. Well, I appreciate that, and I'm going to try to con you into showing me your longhouse if possible.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.